mysteries around us, and we've always been surrounded by mystery. And it's those that are open to discover what the mysteries are that are able to share it with others. And for those that are fearless or curious that want to know. And the moment that you say you're open to it, it starts to happen. And you're beacon in the lighthouse, and you're providing the light for those out there in the rough seas of life. And a lot of times people want to leave the safety of the lighthouse, to go and be out there on that ship with their loved one. But that just means you're getting tossed and turned too, by the rough waves of life. So being able to be that beacon of light that guide them into the safety of the harbor, so that way they're actually have a chance to be able to get it. But if we allow ourselves to just shine our light, it will guide them out, and they'll find their way out of the darkness, because we all got to get lost to find yourself, and usually you go through the dark to come out into the light, and knowing that it's all right. Wherever you're at, it's all right. If you're open to it, it's all right. If you're not open to it, that's all right too, and just know that you take every day as a blessing, one step at a time. Even if it's a small step, it's still a step. If you allow yourself to face your fears, as best you can, be open to receive support, be open to ask for help, and allow yourself to receive the help. And know that by you being able to receive your blessings, you're able to show others that they can receive their blessings too. Because, your blessings are your blessings. And if you go trying to give your blessings to others, they're unable to receive it because it's your blessing. But you can teach them how to receive their blessing. And that's just, that's what we're called here to do.
I'm just going to repeat what you said, because that was just such a pearl.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello and welcome to another show. Where am I? Hello and welcome to Accentuate the Positive with Karen Swain. We're in hysterics. It's always fabulous to be with you again. So great to be with you again. And please like and share the shows. And, I got to do the spiel. Share, subscribe. Everyone does it. You must get so sick of people saying that on every podcast show. I have the gorgeous Derrell Stokes with me today. He's just told me how to say his name. I was like, is it Darrell? He goes, no, it's Darrell. Welcome, Darrell.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited about this show. I was just saying to Darrell, Sue Walker said to me when I had her on the show, the first time I had her on the show, oh, you've got to meet Darrell, check him out, and put him on your show. And I said, yeah, all right, let's do that. And just tuning into Darrell's energy, I'm just like so excited. We're going to talk all things orbs and angels and ETs, and we're going to go there. But let me just tell you a little bit about Darrell. Derrell Stokes has a strong connection with the spirit world since a near-death experience when he was a child at the age of 7. A spiritual intuitive, Reiki practitioner, sound healer. Okay, there's a million things. LMT, MMP. I don't know what any of that means. What's that mean?
Licensed massage therapist, medical massage practitioner.
There you go. And spirit photographer. Darrell is able to communicate with angels, star beings, elementals, and orbs. And we're going to talk all about that and show you some photographs. And I was just, we were chatting before the show. I said, we've got to turn the recording on because I was telling him about an experience I had the other day with my neighbor being here. But let's talk about what happened to you when you were 7. What was going on?
So that was, it was quite traumatic for me. Me and my best friend were racing home from school to see who can make it to the house first. And we decided to try to cross the street a little bit ahead of their cross guard, and a drunk driver, ran past their cross guard and hit my best friend right in front of me. And it felt like something grabbed me by the shirt and pulled me back. But he was hit. And he said, "Mama," and then he landed on the ground and he was gone. and I ran home, and my mom wasn't home, and I ran home. My grandmother was always home, but that day she was not home. And literally I didn't know what to do. But that was my experience that pretty much triggered everything. And I was just reflecting back. I've had several near-death experiences, in my life, but that one at 7 was the trigger point, if you will, for the sensitivity to the spirit world. So next, feeling things, seeing things, hearing things, and the picking this up when other people don't know what it is or how to relate to it. And of course, some want you to not talk about it or to suppress it, or to just let it go away. But it's always been there. It's kind of like the Matrix, if you will. It was like the red pill or the blue pill, and
Yep.
and Pandora's box was open. There was no closing it after that. And so 7 and then 10. My goodness, my phone is just like, they won't leave me alone.
Turn it off, honey.
Yeah, we're turning that sucker off. So it was. I'd get premonitions, or I'd sense things, and of course, give a heads up. They wouldn't believe me, and then it would happen. Then it's like, who told you? And it's like, well, whoever shared it with me, spirit did. And I come to learn that my grandfather, who had passed before I was born, was an ordained minister. So I'm the grandson of a preacher man. And so it's very much it runs in the family, or sharing messages. And my grandmother, my dad's mom, was Eastern Cherokee, so there was a natural strong connection, on flowing from there. And she always encouraged me to use my gifts, and I just wanted to be able to get understand them. What is this? How do I develop it? How do I use it? And that, getting called here to Sedona was really just opened all that up, even more so, because I wanted to know, where do I belong? Why was I born to the family I was born to? Why was I born in Bowling Green, Kentucky? And the 4 orbs appeared, at my bedside, and it's like, and there's like, don't be afraid. Easy for you to say, you're a glowing orb. But the orbs identify themselves, and like, who are you? And it's for me, I clearly Archangel Michael, Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel. That's a lot. But it was Archangel Uriel, and I didn't really, I wasn't familiar with the archangels at all. So doing the research, Archangel Uriel, Archangel of Enlightenment, and he asked me a question. He said, Darrell, what do you want to know? And I said, I want to know the truth. Why was I born to this family here? What are my gifts? Where's my real family, or my soul family? What am I supposed to do? And he answered me, Archangel Uriel answered me, you were born to the family that, to your family, because that was the greatest way for you to awaken. When you're born into a family and you feel like you don't belong, or you feel like you're the black sheep, like they don't get me. But that you're placed there to help you to trigger, because if you don't have the trials and tribulations, how can you grow? And boy, family will really assist you in growing, or realizing that I don't fit in, or not quite the norm. And, family's great for that. So my family, helped me to realize that there's something else for me to do. And it's funny how life works, but that being around them, that was my triggering. And wrote a letter in the 4th grade, to Jiminy Cricket, saying someday I'd work at Disney World, and classmates laughed at me and said that never happened. I received a letter back, autographed picture from Mickey Mouse, I still have to this day, and I ended up working at Walt Disney World, the attraction host, tour guide, concierge. But literally, who knew, that Tinkerbell always believed in Tinkerbell. And little did I know that I would actually end up, being able to connect and communicate with fairies and elementals, so literally that, from being at Walt Disney World and then coming here to Sedona, and being able to, photograph fairies. And what I come to learn was Walt Disney lived here in Sedona. They named Disney Lane after him. And I did not know that Walt Disney named Big Thunder Mountain Railroad after Thunder Mountain here in Sedona. You know,
Wow.
so that was I went to Disney University and got my masterate and my doctorate, you know, and we didn't even know about that, you know, there. So it was, you know, full circle, you know, that literally, you know, from Kentucky to Florida to you know, Sedona, Arizona, and how it was all connected. So it's just like, wow, this is life reads like a fairy tale, because it's like, come on, really, you work at Disney, you know, fairies, and then you're actually seeing them. And it's like, but that's my life, you know, literally that's my life. I can't make it up. And you know, being you know, being here, and you know, I had a reading, you know, when I came here 9 years ago. I was here for 3 weeks in November 2011, you know, after having dreams and visions of Sedona, or at least of Bell Rock and Cathedral Rock, but I didn't know what they were. I kept seeing them in my dreams over and over and over. And I'm colorblind. So, you know, I couldn't tell that they were the red rocks, you know, but I'm like, where is that at? Why do I keep seeing that? You know, where is that at? And where am I supposed to go? And I heard turn on the TV. So I turned on the TV, and on August 2nd of 2011, I turned on the TV on the Travel Channel, and there on the Travel Channel, Ghost Adventures, they're talking about Sedona, Arizona, and Jerome, Arizona. So there it was. And there, of course, Bell Rock and Cathedral Rock. So I typed it up, and sure enough, the moment that I laid eyes on it, it felt like I'd been here before. It felt like home. Sedona felt like home. And it's like, okay, so this feels really interesting. So I, you know, doing the research, and I'm guided to reach out to various people. So I start calling them up, and I said, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm being guided to contact you. I don't know why. But the individuals that I reached out to really assisted me in being able to understand my gifts even more. One of them, Pete Sanders Jr., you know, I'd read his book, You Are Psychic, and I'd said maybe someday I'd be able to meet him. And little did I know, you know, that was already in the works. But someone heard me say I'd love to meet him, and they're like, you want to meet Pete? I know Pete. And they introduced me to Pete, and he autographed my book, and he said, you're meant to be here, because I kept telling him I want to come in August, but I keep getting 3 weeks in November, but I don't know why. And he's like, your intuition is pretty spot on. We got a lot of things opening up and developing there, you know, classes and whatnot. So I came and I got to attend all the 11/11 stuff. I did not know that that's what it was, but I ended up being in Sedona on 11/11/11. You know, I was here for 3 weeks, from November 5th through November 24th. I had something amazing happen to me every single day. That I couldn't explain it, you know, like you're being called to the Chapel of the Holy Cross. I'm like, I don't know where that's at. And it's like, you will find it. And sure enough, Archangel Michael, I'm guided to the Chapel of the Holy Cross, and there's a lady there in the parking lot wearing a blue fleece, you know, jacket, you know, and she's got crosses on her tire rims. And it's like, is that an interesting sign? But she's like, you know, I apologize for crying. I said, it's okay. Archangel Michael told me to come here. And she's like, really? Because he told me to come here too. So that's how I met my friend Michelle in the Chapel of the Holy Crosses parking lot. And, you know, while I was also here, I had a vision that I would meet my dear beloved on the mountaintop. And it's like, right, you're supposed to meet your beloved on the mountaintop. Well, I did. I met my beloved here in Sedona on a mountaintop on 11/11/11.
Wow.
You know, so that was like, okay. I'm like, I met her, but I got a lot of work to do. So, you know, if I'm ever to meet her again, you know, like, what are the odds of that? You know, I just wanted to be able to meet her. And sure enough, I met her on the mountaintop, and I took a picture of her. So literally in my Facebook albums titled 11/11/11, there's literally the first picture of me meeting my girlfriend, you know, on that mountaintop, you know. So it was like, when I came here, I wanted to know the spirit was real. You know, so I was like, I just need confirmation. Growing up, I felt you, I believed. And now, of course, you get older, you start to doubt, you start, you know, am I crazy or whatnot? And I need to know, you know, being diagnosed manic depressive bipolar, you know, hear things, see things, feel things. And yet I do hear things, feel things, and see things. So, you know, and it's interesting because I showed my doctor, you know, the same photos. It's like, this is what I see. And he's like, whoa. And he was able to break down, that looks like a fairy, those look like orbs. Like, okay, so you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. What do you think? He's like, I think I need to bump up your medication.
Oh, no.
You know,
And doctors.
you know, so he couldn't wrap his mind around what he was seeing.
Paradigm
And
shift.
if you're open to it, it's going to appear, because it's always been there. We're multidimensional beings, living a multidimensional existence. And they say that these things don't exist, but they've always been there, and
Absolutely.
it's funny that it's fine to be skeptical. I was skeptical, because it's like, they kept saying, bring a camera, get a camera. And I'm like, I have a camera. I have a little compact. And they're like, you need another camera. And I'm like, no, this is the camera I have, and I'm fine with it. And my camera disappeared. I couldn't find it. So I had to buy a new camera when I came out to Sedona. But the new camera, it ended up costing, it was $105. It was fairly cheap, but $105, that was the address of the person who took me out on the tour. My dear friend Mark, he lived at 105 Mountain Shadow Drive. And so, okay, so the connections were there. And then I had dreams of where to stay at. So I stayed at the Sky Ranch Lodge and the Bell Rock Inn. And when I was at the Sky Ranch Lodge, this gentleman appeared at my bedside, and it's like, okay, this is too trippy. Who are you? He was dressed in a blue tank top, khaki pants, hiking boots, and he had these rings on and a blue beanie. And I'm like, who are you? I've never met this guy before. And he took me out to the overlook, and he pointed out towards Sedona. And I said, well, what does this mean? He said, you're a bridge, you're a connector. I said, well, what does that mean? That I'm a bridge or connector. I don't understand. Little did I know, that I would be a bridge and connection from the spirit world to the human world. And that was, so they were prepping me, but I just wasn't aware. So I called and told Mark that I had this vision of this gentleman there, and I described him to it.
Okay, hang on. So the guy with the khaki pants and the beanie, was he a physical dude or a spiritual dude?
He was a spiritual dude. It turns out he was the old partner, business partner of my friend Mark. He had passed back on December 30th of 2010. So his name was Harold. I'd never met Harold in real life, but Harold appeared to me, at Sedona, and he's pointing out like over towards Mark's house. So I told Mark about it, and because I had left my jacket over his house. So when I went to go pick up the jacket, he said, I want to show you something. He brings out this silk bag and he opens it up, and there's the rings that the gentleman was wearing, so,
Yeah.
and I have a picture of those too, also in the Facebook photo album. So it's like literally everything that I was experiencing, I documented all of it, because it's like, who's going to believe this? So literally the first 7 years of the photo albums literally documented my life of what I was experiencing, not only in Sedona, but also having to return back to Kentucky. So, because I said, I'm never going back there. I have no reason to go back there. I'm done with that place. And what I learned, whenever you say you're not doing something, and you're going to do it. So that was me. And I ended up having to go back every single year. Literally for the past, this year is the only year that I've not been back to Kentucky to see my family, which showed me that whatever work I was doing was complete. Now it was time to start working on me. And what do you know? My North Node is in Sagittarius, which is being able to see the unseen world, and being able to teach others how to see it, how to connect with it. I have 3 planets in the 3rd house. My sun is in Scorpio in the 3rd house. My Mercury is in Scorpio in the 3rd house, and my Neptune is in Sagittarius in the 3rd house. So a lot of messages, sharing messages. And my rising is Virgo. So there's being of service. And it's like, good gracious. So Mercury also rules Virgo. So there it is, messenger. And it's like, well, bloodline messenger, life messenger. And it's like, okay, so I share messages, I do readings, and it's like, okay, this is I had a reading here when I first came in 2011, and Miss Joye, she said, look, they're going to seek you out, yeah, right, and she said, and you're going to be moving here. Archangel Michael says you're moving here. And I said, no way, I got too much stuff going on in Kentucky. I ended up moving here less than a month and a half later. January 6, 2012, I was here in Sedona, and I was doing readings by the end of the month, which was like, what sort of, the Reiki, crystal healing, theta healing, Reiki drumming, just everything started to open up. All this stuff that was foreign to me, Ascension, awakening, that like, huh? I don't understand any of that stuff. So literally it was like night and day from the East Coast to the West Coast. And, it was like, because it's so heavy and dense over there, and it was so expansive and wide open over here.
Well, maybe that's why they keep sending you back there, Darrell.
To do the work. And what I come to realize was Bowling Green is a lot of limestone and water cave system. Limestone is a powerful conductor of energy as well as water. So what do you know, that there's all these individuals, over there, dealing with all this energy, but they're not aware of it, because it's like, well, heck, over in Kentucky, you had the Civil War, you had the, the Cherokee, the Shawnee, and whatnot. You had all these various historical events happening over there. So there's a lot of energy over on the land, and so I couldn't understand it, but they say misery loves company. So when you're around it, but you don't get it, and you're like, why is it always shifting or whatnot? And that was part of the understanding of it. I did not know that smack dab in Bowling Green, Kentucky, there's 4 blue holes, at Lost River Cave, system there. And like blue holes, there's something you'll see in Belize or, out somewhere. But
okay. Well, what is a blue hole?
so like a blue hole is like a very deep underground or water tunnel system, if you will.
Uh-huh.
And there are 4 of them in Bowling Green, Kentucky at Lost River Cave, and nobody knows where it leads to. People that put things in it, but they never found out where it came out at. So you have these blue holes that holds this water that nobody knows where it leads to. And the river, Lost River, literally comes out from underneath, the city and flows out, but they don't know where it leads to, So, back in the 1800s there, it was rumored that Jesse James's hideout was over at Lost River Cave. But they just didn't know where the blue hose led to. So that's one of the spots that I was called to go around taking photos at. And, quite a remarkable couple of photos have showed up there.
So what did your guidance say about where they lead to and what they're for? Because the
underground tunnel systems, that, we have the world's largest cave system. Mammoth Cave is in Kentucky too, so with all that. So it's like, it is very possible that, there could be reptilians or something like that there. Who's to say? I just found it very interesting that, in a place like Bowling Green, Kentucky, there would be 4 blue holes smack dab in the middle, of the city. That just, I'd been there my whole life. And I just like, I didn't really think of it, until coming back, from Sedona to back there. And it's like, I have such a great appreciation for nature now, thanks to being out here. And that was a big awakening.
In Australia, we have such a barren landscape. You fly over the States and it's like it's like a paradise when you fly over the States. It's so green and lush and mountains, and you see water, and you fly over Australia, you just see desert. From the air, it's just red. But underneath the center of Australia is the Great Artesian Basin. It's like this underwater sea. And one day when the energy shifts more, like we're going through a big shift, December 21st, but when the energy shifts more, that sea will rise and replenish the land down here and turn it into a paradise. But that's a whole nother story. But it's just interesting that there's so much under the ground. Yeah. There's so much there that we just don't know, and I guess those blue holes are just a pointing to what is underneath us.
There's so many mysteries around us, and we've always been surrounded by mystery. And it's those that are open to discover what the mysteries are that are able to share it with others. And for those that are fearless or curious that want to know. And the moment that you say you're open to it, yep, it starts to happen. Yep. And I wanted to be able to strengthen my gifts and understand my abilities. I wanted to be able to connect with them more. And I kept asking, how do I learn more about the angels? How do I learn more about the ascended masters? What are the divine universal laws? And I literally had a book fall off a shelf, hit me in the shoulder, and, and fall on the ground. And everybody was like, They turned around and looked like, maybe you're supposed to buy that book. And literally the book was called And the Light Shall Set You Free, you know, and it was a channel book. But when I opened it up, it had the Archangels, it had the Ascended Masters, it had the Divine Universal Laws, everything that I was asking about, it had it in it. Wow. So it was like, I read that book in 3 days, you know, and it was like, because it was, you know, just soaking it up. And what I come to understand was these beings, we've always known, because we're eternal beings having a human experience, you know, we're beings of light, you know, so our souls are eternal. So we've been here and done this before numerous amounts of time. And the gifts that you've mastered from past lives, which is why they're as natural as breathing now. So for me,
can I just say something? Your shirt just went from pink to orange.
Yeah, it's orange. Yeah, it's orange.
I don't know, maybe I'll have to look at the replay. It just like there was a flash and the color changed. It was like looking more like a pink shirt. Anyway, go on. It was just like, this is bizarre before you are a magical being, Darrell. You are magical.
Oh, there's goosebumps.
You so are magical. You are just one of the most magical. Anyway, go on.
So pink is healing, not only healing for you, but for people around you. The healing, green is considered healing, but pink is also healing for you and other people as well. And there's the goosebumps again. So that healing for everyone. And this just, you know, I can't talk about it unless I've experienced it. And a lot of my experiences, people were like, that can't be, that's not real, there's no way that happened. And yet it's my life. It has happened. I have no reason to fabricate it. You know, it's like when people like, well, how do you know it's spirit? God has no reason to lie to you. God has no reason to lie to you. So if you're asking for a sign, if you're asking to know, how's the best way the spirit can communicate with you? Usually goosebumps, gut feeling, sensation in the back of your head, top of your head, forehead. Your body is the perfect antenna for receiving messages for spirit. You know, because when you get the goosebumps, you know, that's an attention getter. You get that gut feeling, you know. And the more that you listen to that, the more that you trust that, the more that you use that, the stronger it becomes. So everybody has intuition. Everybody has beautiful gifts of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, being able to feel, hear, see, know. And some are stronger than others. So for those that are more comfortable with it, they're called to share it, teach it to others. And I was highly resistant. And then, of course, I look at my natal chart, and then it's looking at my birth chart is like, I'm supposed to be sharing messages, you know, and I was just like, that's not happening. And yet literally been groomed all the way through from being the grandson of a preacher man to literally being a attraction host and tour guide at Disney and talking in front of thousands of people, you know, and interacting with them, mass communication, Bachelor of Arts. So it was, literally spirit was always preparing me for it. So finally just to surrender, you know, this is my calling, this is my purpose, this is what I'm supposed to do, and allowing myself to step into that. And it's, you know, of course it's scary, you know, of course it's nerve-wracking, but I love what I do, you know. And usually I attempt to be, I say low key, you know, and off the radar, but it's kind of hard to be low key and off the radar, you know, just literally, you know, when you got a bright light.
That's right. No hiding you, honey. No hiding you. Okay. For people that want to see Darrell's photographs, because they are unbelievable, and we're going to discuss a few. I'm going to upload. They're all on your Facebook page. Do you have a website? I don't think you have a website, do you?
We are working on the website.
Okay.
You know, I was asking, you know, some friends, like, you know, how, you know, can we get this created sooner than later, you know, which I know that they would really be putting me out there. Yeah. But they were like, what I learned this. If a friend wants to help you create a website and they got a busy schedule, you're probably not going to have your website built anytime soon. It's more like better to go through a professional and have it done. That's what I've learned, because
you were just saying to me before that you're a bit technically challenged. You like to be out in nature and not on a computer, which I can understand. But websites are so easy to make these days.
Yeah.
People, there are content managers that make them so easy. But anyway, so if you go to Darrell's Facebook page, and it's Darrell, D-E-double-R, hang on, where am I? D-E-double-R-E-double-L, Stokes, S-T-O-K-E-S, his profile, and you go to the albums, you'll see albums and albums and albums and albums. I want to discuss some of them. Okay, so a lot of people have been talking about orbs for a long time, and everyone has a different opinion about what they are. Oh, they're spirit. Oh, they're ETs. Oh, they're fairies. Oh, they're dead people. Oh, they're, and I would say that, yes, they are all of that, but humans kind of go either or. So there are a lot of stories out there about people seeing orbs and it's their dead relatives, or people seeing orbs and it's an ET coming to say g'day. And, what has been your experience?
It's all of that.
All of that.
It's all of that. Orbs are conscious beings of energy. And what I've discovered, during research, orbs can appear, angels can appear in orbs, which is why people see different color orbs. Right. And a lot of the angels have different colors, so you see a green orb. Who do you think of when you see a green orb? Archangel Raphael. Blue, Michael. Red or purple, Uriel or Metatron, and literally, or it could be a loved one that has crossed over. I have several folk where I asked for my grandmother to show herself to me when she passed on July 5th of 2014, and on July 11th of 2014 at my sister's house in the front yard. My nephew was standing right behind me, and I said, "Granny, if you're here, please show me a sign." And I took a picture, and there's a ring of orbs all in motion, and they're gold ones around it, and it was nothing there. But when I took the picture, my nephews even saw it appear, and that was my confirmation, that she was there. I've been at the Sasquatch conference, and literally had Sasquatch show themselves in the orbs. Right. The Miss Sue was drawing, she was sketching one, and the one that she was sketching was literally the one that showed itself in the orb. And it's like, that's, in itself. I've had orbs and fairies appear right beside each other, and elementals can also, appear as orbs as well. These are beings that are multidimensional, so they can interact, they can come and go as they please, and they can take on whatever shape is necessary for those that are comfortable with them appearing. Most people that are not ready for it, they're not going to show themselves in the way that they're expecting because they're not ready for it. But for those that are open to it, please show yourself to me if you would like to make contact or whatnot. And then, of course, they take the photo and there's something there. And so for me, I always ask you if you would like to show yourself or communicate, or there's something you want to convey to someone else, we're open and calling it in. And always of the highest good. I'm aware of the other stuff, but I don't deal with the other stuff. Who has time for that? And if you go looking for that, of course you're going to find it. So
yeah, absolutely, exactly.
So I don't go looking for that.
If you go looking for it, or if you're thinking about it, or if you're worried about it, like, ooh, negative spirits, ooh, demons, ooh. If you keep focusing on something, you get to create it, right? So focus on what you want to see, not what you don't want to see. Okay, so I don't have any success in photographing orbs, but I see them all the time with my eyes. And I think it was a few years ago, probably about 8 years ago or so, I was over in, I started to sort of get a handle on what I was seeing, because I would just see them and I knew that they were spirit and I knew that they were just making themselves known, but I didn't actually ask them to identify themselves, or, are you an angel? Are you an ET? Are you a dead person? Until my relative was passing over in New Zealand, and I went over there and I was seeing them everywhere, and I'm like, okay, guys, what the hell's going on here? And then I was communicating to them as dead people, because I was kind of around this transition of relative, and they started to sort of give me, like, if we show up on the right shoulder, it's more of a masculine energy, and and I started to sort of see it like psychics do. If it's closer to you, it's a closer relative. If it's higher up, it's like a grandparent or if it's to the side, it's more like a friend. And
Yeah.
I was starting to get a picture of it. I'm like, oh, okay. But they still show up all the time, and I still don't know what's going on. So many of them. It is confusing. How do you sort it all out? Do you see them with your eyes or only with the camera?
I get goosebumps all over me. I feel them, and just I can feel when they're around. The temperature changes on me, from cold or hot or whatnot, or I get the goosebumps, and I go with that, and I'm colorblind, so the
Right.
colors that I see. I see different shades of color than most people. My blues and purples blend, my oranges and greens blend, and yellows and reds and browns. So, literally over the years, trying to, use my intuition to guess what color, outfit I'm wearing or whatnot. When my sister didn't want to play games with me and say, "Oh yeah, that's blue," and it's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm wearing pink, and it's pink. What's pink? So but literally I would just allow myself to feel it, and being out here in Sedona, what I noticed was when I was at Bell Rock's strongest vortex here energy wise, and it's the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So you have both, but it was the strongest place for me to be able to connect with my guides, the angels, the beloved loved ones that have passed over, whatnot. And I started asking, to help me to be able to identify them or to recognize when they're around or trying to get my attention. And most of all, to help me to trust what I'm hearing, trust what I'm feeling.
So, okay. So you don't specifically see them with your physical eyes, but you get a knowing and a feeling and a clairaudient, like you get a knowing as like, okay, they're here. And then you just point the camera and off you go. Right. Yeah. Okay.
And that just, and sometimes literally, you just like, goosebumps everywhere. And it's like, okay, something's here. And then take the picture and it's like, there it is, or you're walking and then you get that, that coat, you walk into a cold spot and like, there's something here. You take the picture and sure enough. And it's like the energy shifts. There's like portals, it's like energy portals. And, here in Sedona, you got electromagnetic and magnetic energy. And Sedona is like a giant bowl. You've got the vortexes all around, so whether you're coming up from Phoenix or you're coming in from Cottonwood or you're coming down from Flagstaff, you're driving into it, and literally it's like the vortexes in the village, vortexes in uptown, vortexes in West Sedona and in the canyon. But literally it's all over the place. So it's like it's like a little bubble, if you will. 10,000 people live here, but anywhere between 2 to 10 million visit per year, so that's a lot of people, flowing through here. And Sedona's it's on a ley line grid too, it's connected with Shasta. So people that come here, they feel that energy. Some don't feel it because they're not sensitive to it, but usually it triggers their awakening. And literally I was called here, during my spiritual awakening, at 38, which that's crazy in itself. I had a dream at 12 that I saw my funeral and I was like, whoa, and out of body experience and crying and everything. And I'm like, there's a lot of people here. When does this happen? And I got 38. So I was terrified. I'm at 12 years old. I have literally a lucid dream about my funeral, whole bunch of people there. And I'm physically crying. And I asked when it happens, and I got 38. And it's like, how often does that happen? You ask, like, when is this going to happen? It's like, I actually got the time frame. But what it actually was the awakening, my spiritual awakening at 38, because it's like, I thought I was going to die, but it was the death of the old me and the birthing of the new me. And me coming here to Sedona. So literally those 3 weeks, and something happened to me every single day leading up to my birthday, November 20th, so from the 5th, and being here through that 11/11 and whatnot. But literally I was experiencing things that I couldn't explain. And on November 19th, at Bell Rock, I'm asking for a sign, and then I take the picture, and lo and behold, the face in the cloud appears. And for people that see that photo, people see various things. Some people see the angel wing in it. Some people see a Sasquatch face in it. Some people see a native elder in it. Some people see the Ponte in it. But it's literally what showed itself that day. So many people see various things in it, and when you zoom into it, you can literally see the teeth, of the face in the clouds. Like, you can see the teeth, individual teeth, in this being's, the face, and it's like, okay. I was asking Archangel Michael for a sign, and that's what showed up.
That's the sign that turned up. Okay.
I took 7 photos of it too, and it just kept changing.
Just looking at some of the photographs on your page, I'm looking at the album called Angels, Fairies, Orbs, and ETs. So you've got some photographs of a nightscape, and is it a road or are you just in the bush, where it looks like literally thousands of orbs. It just looks like Christmas tree lights everywhere. And so it's so funny that when you look with your naked eye, you see nothing. And then you develop this photograph and there's just thousands. So when you see orbs that are so prolific like that, what are we looking at? Are we looking at nature spirits? What are we looking at?
From what they've shared with me, the universal nation. So I'm like, well, what does that mean? It means that they're all coming together, so literally elementals, angels, ascended masters, ETs, everybody's the universal nation. We have the United Nations here.
The body.
They have the universal nations around us, so you have the angels, the elementals, the fairies, the orbs, the ascended masters, the animal spirits, the loved ones that are crossed over, all these beings of energy very much working with us and interacting with us. So it's a giant party, and they all show up. Sometimes I'll get just one orb or two show up, and that's fine with me, but the bulk of them is just massive amounts, that show up. And it's always been like that for me. I can't explain why. They show up in droves, whether it's me or other people around me. But they come through, and for most people, if they want to be able to see it or interact with it, if they're around me, they're able to. And just like, look, just set the intention, be open to it. Don't be afraid of it. Clearly they want to communicate with you, and why would you want to communicate with something if you're afraid of it? Or but if you're open to it, and especially the frequency, whatever frequency we're putting out there. So it's just.
Okay, so when we're looking at a photograph like that where there's just thousands of orbs, we're just looking at a party of like nature spirits and ETs and dead relatives, like just everyone's there. And when you take a photograph, because it's funny, because you can take a photograph in the same space and see thousands, and then another photograph in the next space where the camera doesn't pick them up. What's going on there? Why does that happen?
That they can pop in and pop out, so it's.
They're kind of just shifting their frequency. They're kind of just going, hello, we're here, and we're going to be visible on your, and then they can sort of pull it back.
Yeah.
The camera, frequency of the camera, or however that works, doesn't.
Yeah, like literally one moment, I'll take a picture and there's nothing there, and then the next photo is just like whoosh, the whole screen is covered, and then I'll take another photo and then nothing, and it's like, right, okay, well, if it was dust, the dust will still be lingering, and
right, exactly. If it was dust, exactly, yeah, dust, it caught in the light, yeah. Okay, so what about an orb that when you catch an orb, which you have in these, I'll upload some to the YouTube, and it's got that streak. What's the streak about? Is that just movement? Like, what's that?
Yeah, it's in motion, which an orb in motion. And I have quite a few of those where they are literally in motion.
Okay, I'll upload that to the YouTube. Sorry if you're listening on audio, you'll have to go and have check. All right, so what's happening with these rocks here? They look like faces. Like, tell me about that. Tell me about this photograph.
So literally, I was there on Bell Rock. Now, this is right there around my birthday, around the 20th. And mind you, I'd been here for 3 weeks, but Bell Rock didn't call me to be there. I was sent out to the other vortexes, to, I guess, get assimilated or adjusted, if you will. Cathedral Rock, Divine Feminine, Heart Healing, Forgiveness. Airport Mesa, Divine Masculine, Taking Action. the Boynton Canyon, which is also another mixture of divine masculine and divine feminine. I was called to these various ones, but when I finally was called to Bell Rock, and I was doing a reading there, I was, had my Archangel Raphael cards, and I was shuffling, and I kept feeling like someone was watching me. And I'm like, I feel like I'm being watched, but that's crazy because I'm the only one here. And I heard, look to the left. And I looked to the left, and it looks like faces right there. And it's like, hello. So I took a picture, and it's like, yeah, those literally look like faces in the rock. And Bell Rock is very much known for its energy. And, many people have seen ships, and I have taken many a photo of Bell Rock where things have come through. Matter of fact, on my birthday, a few weeks ago, I went back there because I hadn't been out on the land in quite some time, not to Bell Rock, but I was like, it's been some time. And 9 years ago, this is where I was called to. And sure enough, there it all is, coming through and feeling it. And so that was still here, the energy never turns off.
So when you become aware of the beings in the rock, do you chat with them? Do you say, hi, how are you? I've got a message.
I did, because I kept getting Archangel Gabriel, coming through, and it's like the messenger angel, and it's like, Gabriel, what are you showing me? And it's like the communication. We want to communicate with you. Who wants to communicate with me? Could you be more specific? Your guides. My guides, huh? Okay. I have guides. I thought I had a guardian angel, and they're like, you have many guardian angels. You have many masters and teachers, that want to assist you, because this is not your first lifetime. Even though you may think this is your only lifetime, it's not your only lifetime. And these individuals have been with you for many, many other lifetimes. And of course, you may not see them, but you can feel them. And sure enough, so literally, the photos taken was just me wanting to connect, with those around me. And when they said, we are the universal nations and you are an ambassador to us, well, what does that mean? It's like, there are those that have a very strong connection with Sasquatch,
Right.
And that's who they communicate with. There are those that have a very strong connection with the angels, and that's who they interact with. There are those that are very comfortable with ascendant masters, and that's who they, Saint Germain,
Right.
Cthulhu, El Morya and whatnot, Isis, and they're comfortable with them. And then of course the animal spirits and nature spirits, and so it's like, so wait a minute, they pretty much said, you're an ambassador, so they all show up. The ET, Sasquatch, angels, they all show up. So I was like, but isn't that too many?
You know what I call, Darrell, you know what I call them? I call them the mob. The mob. Just, they're all in there together. The angels, the ETs, the nature spirits, the high dimensional beings, the dead people, the mob, the ascended masters.
All have unconditional love too. They literally all want to help us, to communicate, to reconnect, to remember, and to be aware, because like for those back, our ancestors, these were advanced civilizations, so we knew that they were having some type of interaction. Egypt, Greece, Rome, Machu Picchu, Aztecs, Incas, Chaco Canyon, literally these individuals, they had interaction, with someone, with something. And what do you know that technology or the information has been hidden away or lost, or we don't have full access to it. Mu, Lemuria, Atlantis, the golden tablets, the emerald tablets, there's so many different things, and they just want us to remember. So naturally, those that were connecting or communicating with them before, in the past lives, now there's like, hey, it's time once again. So next, we start feeling this activation, or we start getting triggered, and, the jobs that we're in, we no longer find desirable. We're like, I'm being called to do this. I don't know why. I'm being guided to learn this. I don't know why. And you go to learn something, and it's just like, you're a natural at it. It's just as natural as breathing. And all of this stuff is like, I really wouldn't, I loved watching the, the ghost stuff or anything about the haunted houses and whatnot, because I wanted to learn about the history and the energy of it. And then lo and behold, it's so much more than that, and the star beings, the ETs with star beings, they clearly they came here to share information with our ancestors, and so now there are those that still have that information, and others that.
So what you're doing, Darrell, is providing evidence for people that need the evidence, because even though you get the shivers and the feelings and the guidance, other people who don't trust that, because I believe we can all get that, but we're not aware of it or we're not trusting it, they need this evidence. And so your photograph photographs are giving people the evidence of what we in the spiritual community who speak to dead people and archangels and ascended masters and ETs are talking about. Okay, so I want to go into more of these photographs. What are the photographs when you're taking a photo? So this is what I've been thinking about lately. We have passed off lights. You see them in movies, you see them in photographs, lights and stuff as just a flicker of the sun in the camera. And we've never really seen it as anything else but just camera phenomena, right?
Lens flare.
Okay. So some of these photos, the purple energy, what's happening when you're picking up that purple energy? What's the communication you're getting on what that energy is? Goosebumps, like who is it? What's the energy? What's it doing?
Saint Germain, the violet flame. Transmutation. There's goosebumps again, my word. Because we're beings of light. We're beings of light. Even though we're dense, we're solid, we're still beings of light. And it's funny that science has now string theory, quantum physics, multi-dimensions, that. So if that is shown that there's a lot more going on, but still people like, no, that's just lens flare, that's what it is, not a problem. If that's what you feel it is, because I'm not a professional photographer. I can tell you the first thing about aperture or shutter speed or anything like that. I turn on the camera and I push the button. I don't know any of the other stuff about it. I just go with what I'm feeling, and I just go with what I'm feeling.
So the purple light is the purple flame. And what about these lights that are kind of like little pink spots? What are the pink? And there's an orb there that has there's an orb there. I'll put the photograph up on YouTube. There's an orb there that literally has the green, pink, purple, like it's kind of got a rainbow through it. It's amazing.
The archangels coming together and sharing their loving energy, because literally you can have multiple angels together. Think about it. Archangel Raphael is green and used for healing. Archangel Michael, which is blue, which is protection, also lovingly speaking in truth. Michael is the protector. Raphael is the healing. So next thing you have an orb that has green and blue in it, or you have an orb that has green, blue, red, or white in it, and these, for me, it's the angels coming through, and sharing that. And what I've noticed is when we as humans hold on to whatever it is that we're unable to release, then it goes into the body. If we ignore it from the spiritual, it manifests in the physical, and especially in the body as disease and illness, so whether it's the throat, whether it's the lungs, grief, the not processing, or the heart, broken hearts, the not wanting to have forgiveness. And the heart is our vehicle. And we're not operating at full capacity because a lot of us have broken hearts, so here we are going through the healing to have our broken hearts mended, and in order to have them mended, forgiveness for ourselves, forgiveness for others, and being able to, that loving, the unconditional love. And the only remote things that are even close to getting that unconditional love for us are animals, because our pets and animals, unconditional love, children, unconditional love, literally. And they have to be taught not to be able to do that, because naturally animals give unconditional love all the time unless they're mistreated. Same for children. and because the children have that natural innocence and wonder, they're naturally connected to the spirit. Well, animals are anyway, because our cats and dogs and other pets can always pick up on energy moving around. Cats are super great at it, and even dogs can pick up on it too, and horses are incredibly intuitive also. But the animals know, because animals have a heads up before there's a natural disaster or anything. So there are things that we can learn from them, just by simply being aware and paying attention to them. I had tons of photos where dragonflies just come up and land right beside me, and these are super skittish beings, but I asked them, hey, I have permission to take your photo, so I've taken a few of their photos, and you can just see the personality in their faces. And it's like, how can you see the personality in an insect's face? Yet, looking at the photos, dragonflies, which dragonflies are, their animal totem, joy, and magic. Also another form that elementals, fairies take. Hummingbirds, also joy. Ladybugs, honeybees, praying mantises, butterflies. I mean, these all have meanings to them. Hawks, eagles, and literally here it's all showed up for me. I've been asking for a sign out here, grab your camera and walk outside, and I'll walk outside and there's a bald eagle staring right at me, and it's like, okay, and then I'll look to the right of me and there's a hawk, like, all right, there's an eagle, there's a hawk. And to the left of me, there's a blue heron standing out in Oak Creek on a rock, on one leg. And it's like, nobody's going to believe this. And then there's the dragonfly right in front of me. So it's like, okay, so literally asking for signs. And what I've also come to recognize, everybody receives their signs and messages differently. And if you're woke, your signs are going to be a lot more subtle, for them, as opposed to someone who's going through their awakening. Someone going through their awakening, they're going to be seeing all the big number signs, 1111, 444, 333, 222. Every time they look at their phone or their microwave or the clock, it's one of those number symbols, 777, 808, coming through. So for them, that's spirit assisting them, like they're starting to go through it. But for people that are already awake, they're like, well, how come I don't see it? It's not that you don't see it, it's you're not aware of it, because your sign is going to be a lot more subtle, so your sign may be coming in the message of, the bumblebee flying around, or the honeybee, and you're like, go away, bee. But the bee represents abundance and prosperity, but you're like, or you're like, oh my goodness, all these ants are all around, but ant represents community, the your like-minded group. You see the ladybug, and you're like, it's ladybug. Ladybug represents abundance also. Butterfly, transformation. Praying mantis, being still, meditation, prayer. The eagle, the spirituality or divinity. The hawk, messages and omens. So the signs are all around us, and the more that we're out in nature, the more we're able to recognize these signs. And of course, the divine is able to communicate through nature, because literally what you see out in nature is jaw-dropping in itself. So that it's divinely, it's divinely created. And so as you're seeing that,
absolutely. Goosebumps again.
Yeah.
Divine and nature are, on the same team. They're in it together. They're in cahoots with each other. They're kind of like dead relative says, I want to get my wife's attention, like husband dies. Bird, can you go over and sit on her windowsill and just peck at the window? The bird says, sure.
Yeah. A lot of people will see cardinals or blue jays, and loved ones tend to appear as cardinals or blue jays. I learned through Ted Andrews, because I wanted to be able to understand the animal signs and messages more. And once again, book fell off the shelf, and Animal Speaks was the name of and so literally even though he passed a few years back, his work really helped me. It just really helped me to understand a whole lot more. Not only did he cover animals, he covered elementals, the birds. He was really in detail about it, and it just his works has been tremendous help for me. Almost everything that he has written, is literally, spiritually based to help others who are going through their spiritual awakening, whether it's doing energy work, body work, animal signs, readings. Literally he has all kinds of information on that. And just, he was, one of those, mentors that, even though he wasn't, here in the person for me, his work, has really helped me to learn a tremendous amount from that. So invaluable, Ted Andrews,
Ted
just hands
Andrews.
down.
I have to check him out. Okay, I want to get more into these photographs. What are the photographs, and I'll upload one or a few of them to the YouTube, of what appears to be, you're taking a photograph into the night sky, and it appears to look like smoke. And then what's that?
That may be the one where the angel forms, literally on, if it's that particular one where it's like, it looks like mist, and then it looks like an image at the end of it. And that was March 8th, 2012, sitting on the couch, and I heard, grab your camera and come outside, and you start, it's cold, you can see your breath, whatnot, and start taking it, and it starts shifting, changing, and at the end of it, it looked like an angel. And it's like, well, who is this? And who introduced themselves to me was Archangel Haniel. And it's like, well, who are you? Or Archangel Haniel is the Archangel of the Moon, and Archangel of Manifestation.
Okay, so these photographs of what looks like smoke and then a light, is that light the moon?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the moon.
Uh-huh.
And then there's one that's like, it's smoky, and then the moon, it's kind of got a bit of a tail on it.
Yep. Yeah, that literally, like, it was like the moon was in motion. And of course, I was trying to be as still as I could, just taking the picture, but it looked like tracers or whatnot.
And then there's that one which looks, I don't know, must be, I don't know what, it's like above a tree, and it like looks like, wow, I don't know what that is. What is that?
Some of them I can't even describe what they are, because some of them, like, I don't even, it just it looks I call it a luminary, because it's like, the shape doesn't quite, it's not quite a elemental shape. It looks like something else, and it's like,
so what is the smoky substance? What is that? Is that ectoplasm? Like, what is that?
For some people say it's ectoplasm. I'm not sure. I would say, the breath coming out, looking like it or whatnot. But it's sometimes, like, I have photos where it's smoke, sage smoke. But that night I had no sage smoke or anything.
Right.
So, but there's one where my girlfriend, she lit the sage smoke, and a poodle shows up right by her head. Because before that, I kept seeing a poodle, appear around her. I'm like, who's the poodle? Who's the white poodle? And she's like, don't have a white poodle. I'm like, I keep seeing a poodle around you, And she's like, well, my grandmother had a poodle, but she's been dead for several years, and her name was Cherie. And she lit the sage smoke, and I took the picture, and Cherie appeared right by her head, and it's like, you can see the poodle as plain as day, and it's like its little poofy, its hair and ears and all of that, and it's like, that's poodle. And it's the same album, the scrolling down, and I believe it's literally, there's a heart. It looks like a heart full of quartz. There's quartz in the red rock here in Sedona, which is why it's so amplified, along with the iron oxide. And I looked down, and I saw a picture it looked like a heart-shaped quartz, in the rock. But literally the next photo over is, the picture with her appearing. So there are times when, the ectoplasm, other times where it is, sage smoke, and it's just things appearing out of the smoke. So it's like, and it's like, literally everything's like, it's not real. But it's like, you Photoshop that. I don't even know how to Photoshop, I don't.
There's a photograph here. Oh, it's so beautiful, of a couple of kids, a little girl holding a little boy. She looks like she's about to pick him up. And there's a golden orby sort of thing. It looks like it's got a face, and it looks like it's got, oh my God, what is that? That is amazing.
So I call that the Christ light, because it's golden. Her name is McKenna, and she felt like my grandmother from a past life, but we were on a camping trip. My sister's boyfriend had been his life had been taken, so we were doing a camping trip to help lift her up and whatnot. And so we were there, and this was back in Kentucky, and I was taking pictures with everybody. And once again, all these things show up, and literally what it showed me is it can appear anywhere. whether in Sedona, in Kentucky, Mount Shasta, Orlando, Florida, Chihuahua, Washington, Shanghai, China, wherever you're at, it's there too. And literally that, just taking those, because they were not really open to, to what I do. But the kids were absolutely fascinated, and they're like, hey, and of course, orbs love children, fairies love children, they love animals too, they love singing, they love dancing, they love laughter. And so it was like, children and animals are a natural magnet, for drawing them in. Music, joy, they love joy, high vibration, love, laughter, and joy, the highest frequency. So of course they're going to be around that. And we were all there, even though it was, for a sad occasion, the love and support that was there, literally, it all came through. And, that album is titled Camping Trip 2013. And is, a couple hundred photos in there, but literally this is things that, individuals around me who were not open to it. And for them to not be open to it, but yet it was all around them, and, literally those photos in like it was September 7th, 2013, and that weekend, and literally you can see orbs around people's heads, around their back, daytime, nighttime, there was interaction. So that was confirmation to me that even, our loved ones are still very much with us, because they put on a show for that weekend, being around all of them. And that showed me that if you're open to it, it absolutely can show itself. And even if you're not open to it and you don't want to deal with it, there's still loved ones watching over you, assisting you and guarding you. And sure enough, I took pictures and there were orbs hanging out on people's heads, behind their back, but they were all around them. And that was just my confirmation that it's wherever you're at, it's there too.
Yeah, this green one on September 25th, 2013, there's one of a green orb that, again, looks like it's moving. Mm-hmm. Oh, this bright green with a streak, but oh my God, they're amazing photographs, Darrell. It just, did he or she or it or they, did they identify themselves, this sort of greeny?
Well, I would say that the green is Archangel Raphael. Mm-hmm. And I knew that during that time frame there was major healing going on, and right. Of course, whenever you're here in Sedona, there's always healing going on. People come here, to experience some type of healing, and even those that don't intentionally come here for the healing still get some type of healing. Sedona's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. For those that are open to it, it's going to have a profound effect, and for those that can't wait to get out of here, it seems like they can't get. It's kind of like Walmart. You're trapped in. You can't get out. But it brings to you what you're putting out there. And, for me, it's like a lot of healing, literally just wanting to heal old past life wounds and to work on myself. And it's like, how can you help someone else unless you've taken the time out to work on yourself? And that, there are a lot of us that want to help others. We're drawn to help others, but we don't know how to receive help back. Yeah. And so to be able to, you got to recharge your batteries too,
And it looks like you've, sorry, I'm just going through these photographs. It looks like you've got some UFOs here as well. Mm-hmm. 3
Bell Rock.
Yeah, 3 lights in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see those with your physical eyes, or did you just?
I did. Yeah. At Bell Rock, when the ships are there, they're noticeable. They don't blink like the beacons from an airplane. They get your attention, and then of course you can feel it, and they're all tingling and whatnot. And literally the one night I was out there at Bell Rock, and there was a plane flying overhead, and right below the plane, the UFO just glided right underneath it, never made a sound. There was a handful of people out there. We literally felt like we were on a giant magnetic hot plate, because we could feel that ground felt like it was vibrating. Mm-hmm. And it's like, one lady looked at me, she said, "Do you feel that?" And it's, yeah, I sure do. And we saw the plane. And then we saw the UFO come right underneath the plane, and it went right between the valley between there's Bell Rock and then there's Courthouse Butte, and it right between that valley, and it disappeared just like that. And we were all flabbergasted. It was like, we all just saw that, right? We all just witnessed that. We saw that, and was comforting to see because other people saw it too. I wasn't just the only one. And it's like the plane was still making a sound, but that ship UFO came right underneath it and shot right through that, and it was gone. And
did you communicate with the beings that were a part of that, or did you just get the photo?
I was literally flabbergasted, because it's like, where you just, am I seeing this? Am I really seeing this? And it's, and that was a first experience when the shit came through. It was the same day that the Face in the Cloud showed up on November 19th, 2011. And that was like, I didn't take a picture of that ship, but I had, little did I know that the Face in the Cloud, when I went to look at it, that's what I saw. And there were people over at Cathedral Rock that said they actually saw the ship over at Cathedral, but it was appearing as a cloud over at Bell Rock, so, and then if you look at the photo, you can actually see like temporal distortion or whatnot over at the back of the cloud. Like it looks like the ship emitting something. And that was out of my area expertise at the time, because I didn't even know what the heck I was looking at.
So this photograph of looks like lightning, but like squiggly colored, multicolored lightning. What's that?
So that was an actual ship over at Bell Rock. I saw the ship. I saw it blinking. So when I went to take the picture, I ended up getting the squiggly colored lines, and it's like, that's different. I'm expecting the ship to show up, but I've had people say it looks like light language. That's because it's different colors and whatnot.
Different colors, yeah.
I saw the ship. I saw the ship blinking, turning different colors. That's what I saw. So I went to take the picture of the ship, and I get all the, the different, squiggly lines and whatnot. And it's like, I don't know what I'm looking at here. I'm pretty sure I'm looking at a ship because it's doing all its weird things, but I don't know where the squiggly lines came from. So that was that, and I haven't really seen that since. That right. Appeared and that was it. So literally, I was just trying to document everything for my own, my own proof that I'm asking for signs. I'm asking for confirmation. I'm as skeptical as I'll get out. If you're here, show me. Because literally, it's like. People say this stuff isn't real and it doesn't exist. So here I am in Sedona, because I'm guided out here to Sedona. So I might as well go ahead and, if you're real, it's real. And if it's not, then I can be at peace with that. And well, it's real. My goodness, it's real. And it's so much more. So there were things where I couldn't explain it. So literally, but that's where they were saying the universal nation. So a little bit of everyone or everything showing up to say, hey, we're from this quadrant, or hello, we're from over here. And so literally it's like you're like an intern, you intern for this group or whatnot. And when your intern is complete.
Your shirt just went from orange to pink again. Okay, it's pink again. But the thing is, I wasn't seeing things before. Like, hopefully it's on the recording. It has gone from orange, but it's gone pink, and it's shimmering. It's shimmering pink. It's like hot pink.
Yeah,
it's shimmering.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable in my masculinity, but it's like I can assure you it's orange. This is orange as all get out. So
you are a magical dude, Darrell. You are magical. Okay, I wanted to talk about what I saw the other day. My neighbor came over. She used to work for the Catholic Church. She's very Catholic Italian. And she's unemployed at the moment. She lost her job. Anyway, so she's doing a lot of gardening, and she came over and she was having a chat. And as I was chatting to her, out of my periphery, I saw this golden orb that was about the size of a walnut, about an arm's length away. That were it felt like it made a noise, but I didn't hear a noise, but it felt like it made a noise. It kind of went like, even though I did not hear that, I can't explain how you can know that it sort of had a feeling to it. And when I looked at it, it wasn't there. And it left a sort of streak, a bit like this streak that I'm looking at in this photograph, except it wasn't multicolored, it was gold. What are you getting that was? Because I had never seen that before.
My dear, you have a very high vibrational frequency, and here's the goosebumps again. So what it feels to me, you're able to see it literally with your eyes. So your clairvoyance is incredibly strong,
Getting
so.
stronger too. Yeah.
So literally that was, confirmation for you. There's goosebumps again, that you saw what was around her, and the elementals, they love it when you're out in the garden. They love it when you're out in nature. They love it when you're taking care of animals, because that's their element.
Yeah.
So, and literally her being out there will not surprise me in the least that, they're out there and communing and interacting with her. And there you are being able to see it, and to hear it, too, and trust what you're feeling and what you're hearing. Because if it's making sounds or moving, it's wanting to get your attention,
Yeah. It got my attention, all right, because she's talking yak, 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 yak. And then I turn my head and I'm looking at the corner of the room, right? And she's like, what are you looking at? And I'm like, oh my God. And I explained it to her and she just goes, uh-huh. Like she thinks I'm crazy. Uh-huh.
Because she's closed off to that. And yet, there they are wanting to communicate with her, but she's closed up to their communication, knocking, but won't open the door. Whereas you're like, it's done came right on in, so it's, so they show themselves to those who
felt like an elemental. It felt like an elemental. I was just trying to put two and two together because I had never seen anything like that before. And she was there. So I thought, okay, well, she's got something to do with this. But it definitely felt very elemental-ish. It was so bright. It was so bright. It's amazing when you see them with your eyes. How I said, did you see that flash of light? And she said, I didn't see anything. And I'm like, okay. So, but what's interesting, Darrell, is that as the frequency is shifting on our planet and the veil is lifting, these are some terms that we sort of bandy around in the spiritual community, phenomena like this. And as you raise your frequency and you open your third eye chakra, these things are becoming more prominent. There's a few things happening. We're evolving, energy shifting on the planet, and so frequency is changing. And so what has been deemed subtle energy and invisible to the physical eye, or invisible even to the spiritual eye or third eye, is becoming more prominent, and we're becoming more aware of it. And I've noticed that I have sort of said to spirit, I want to see with my physical eyes. And they said to me years ago, no, you don't. Because you know how some people see ghosts as real as people and they see them walking everywhere.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed a few people on the show like that, like Jamie Butler. And I said, oh, I want to see that. And they said, no, you don't. And I said, why not? And they said, do you know how confusing it is if you don't know if you're looking at a person or a spirit? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that would be really confusing, wouldn't it? But I see the lights, and all different colors, all different colors. And because when it happens, my human mind goes, wow. And I go into this like, wow, that sort of like confusion, like what just happened? Like I go into the questioning mind.
Yeah.
I don't have access. Well, I don't have as clear access to what it is I'm seeing because I'm in that like, oh, you know what I mean? Whereas when you're not in that questioning mind, you get more clear access as to what you're seeing. Like, do you find that when you're taking photographs?
Oh, absolutely. And literally when I came here back in 2011, I kept asking, I want to be able to see, hear, feel, and know, help me. How do I strengthen this? And I started receiving the downloads, be out in nature more. Why? Because that's where the messages are at. Oh, okay. And nature's healing. Being out in nature helps you to detox, and to release and let go of whatever emotions you're holding on to. And that saying, misery loves company, is very true. So when you're around negative people, what do you know? And if you're highly empathic and super sensitive, you pick up on everything, so literally it was a complete reversal for me. I started giving away all my DVDs and my music, that I no longer listen to. And, I gave away all my
Right.
horror DVDs, my Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street series. And they're like, why are you giving this away? Because it no longer resonates with me.
Exactly.
Is that a frequency that I no longer care to deal with,
Yeah.
so, but here, you're more than welcome to it if you want it. And, I had a friend say to me that, if it no longer serves you, let it go. So something new can come into it for you. And literally, I was trying to get back here to Sedona, and I wanted to move back by December instead of January of that year. And it's like, why can't I leave? And it's like, because you're still holding on to things. And I had a friend that I met out here. He called me up and he said, as you start to release and let go of the things that no longer serve you, you're going to find yourself getting much, much lighter. What do you know? And sure enough, so my family thought I was absolutely off my rocker, for giving away, music, but it's a low frequency. I'm listening to stuff that just, why do I feel this way after I listened to this, and I realized, because music is frequency too. And when you're listening to music that's jovial and uplifting, it inspires you and uplifts you. When you're listening to music that, it can pull at your heartstrings and have you crying and bawling, So music is a universal language also, music and sound. So that was literally learning in the real time. And I was like, okay, because this was all brand new to me. And it's a lot of it, I'm still learning. A lot of this, I'm no expert. I don't proclaim to be an expert. I just simply someone that I wanted to know, and I said, I'm open. And what can I say? The responses that I've gotten back, and the best way that I could show that was literally, take the photos and create a photo album of the things that I was experiencing. And so for most people, they're like, that's lens flare, that's dust. Okay,
Yeah.
but for some things, like there's a picture of the butterfly, that I took on there,
Yeah.
and there's nothing on the butterfly's wing, and then the very next photo, this little bean appears on the butterfly's wing, and it's like it's got its own arms, its own body. It's literally like there's a little elemental fairy being on the butterfly's wing.
At the very top, or is it near its body?
It's down near its body. If you see the branch,
Yeah.
and you look up, and then you'll see the little bean.
I see. Yeah. Okay, I'll put the two photos up. So one photo, it's dark, and then the next photo, it looks shimmering, like it's shimmering.
And then once again, Archangel Gabriel was saying, take a picture of the butterfly. It's just a butterfly, but I'm hearing, take a picture of the butterfly. Okay, I'll listen. So I took a picture of the butterfly. I took 2 photos, and you see it, there's nothing there. And then the next photo, it's there.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
So it's, I can't explain that, but so a being literally appeared on the butterfly's wing.
Oh, your photographs are just so awesome. They're just so awesome. But how amazing when we'll be able to see all this stuff with our eyes. Like, maybe it would be confusing, but it would be, I think it would be very cool.
I just wanted to be able to see and know, so I just kept asking. And, usually for those that have really strong intuition, one of our greatest challenges is to be able to trust what we're receiving. Because how do I know that's what I'm getting? So then, of course, your body starts to give you the signs and the messages, the gut feeling, the tingling sensation. Right side is the father side, which is also the action side. Left side is the mother side, which is the receiving side. So if you're getting goosebumps on the right side, what are you needing to take action on, or what are you needing to slow down on? If you're getting on the left side, what do you need to be open to receiving, or are you allowing yourself to receive back? Are you giving too much? And these are things that only we would know, as we're doing it, because empaths love to help others. It's as natural as breathing to us. We've got to help or fix somebody, but you can't fix anybody unless they're open to be fixed. You can't help anybody unless they're open for the help, and turn around. Same thing with us. Are we open to receive the help for everything we're giving and doing for everybody else? Somebody wants to give back to us, but what's the first thing we say? No, you can't. You don't have to do that. No, that's okay. No, you're fine.
God, Darrell, I've seen healers do just literally shut the door Like they're out there helping everybody, and then you offer some health advice and they like block you on Facebook, you know, because they're so not open to receiving. It's almost as if it's been conditioned in them that receiving something is a sin. Like I've got to help. Yeah, it's just, I have to say I'm like that too. I rarely go and have healings myself.
the wounded healer, Chiron, the wounded healer, you know, because we want to help everybody else, but we shut it down ourselves. Right. And so what I share with people is like this: the people that you're helping, there's at least one or two of them that actually recognize what you bring to their life. They know that if you were not in their life, their life would not be what it is today. And for some of them, they want to get back to you. They want to acknowledge you. They want to show you appreciation, but they only know how to do it in the ways they've been taught. So they're going to ask, you know, hey, is there anything you need, anything I can do for you, anything I can bring you? And of course, our first response is, nope, I'm good. Don't worry about it. But when you do that, when you say no, you deny them the ability to give back to you. You deny them the ability to show you appreciation and love. And the whole time you're saying, I wish somebody would acknowledge me or appreciate me or show me love. And they're literally wanting to do that, but you've got them holding them by the head, you know, and they're just like, I want to give this to you. You're like, no, I'm fine. And so
I know. Yeah, sorry, go on. And so,
you know, you're not able to recharge your batteries. You know,
I have a friend that, you know, was doing some healing work, and she came to Sydney and I met her and she was saying, oh, you know, I've got no money. I really need some money. I don't know how I'm going. I'm like, just offer your healings. But she was kind of unsure and everything. So she's on her way. She was staying at a friend's place, another friend's place. She's on her way. She's walking from the friend's place to the doll office, you know, to get payments from the government, you know, unemployment. And then she bumps into someone she had met who said to her, oh, I love you and I love your work. Let me give you a whole bunch of money. And she said, oh, no, I couldn't accept that. And then goes to the unemployment office and gets like, I know, isn't it crazy?
It's what we do.
I know. It's like when you ask for it, be open to receive it in whatever form it comes. And so this person that offered her had this really high-powered corporate job. Like she had plenty of money. She offered her a rather large sum of money too, which was hard to sort of like, you know, she's going to get a couple of $100 from the government and she's offering her thousands. I know. It's just crazy how we just block what we ask for sometimes.
Self-worth, that, you know, the wounded healer tends to have self-worth issues, you know, incredibly talented at what they do. Right. People seek them out for it because literally what they're doing has a profound effect on individuals. Right. But because they don't have the self-confidence to be able to receive it, they block themselves. And so here we are working to do our best to be able to, you know, to shift that. And this year, you know, 2020 has been the year. It's a blessing in disguise. A lot of people's like, can't wait for this year to be over. But for many, it has allowed for them to start something new. It has allowed for them to address fears, you know, that they thought they couldn't address or face. Absolutely. And, you know, and it's so blessing in disguise, really, you know. Huge. And, you know, we got, you know, there's 6 eclipses this year. Every eclipse brings major completion. Every eclipse. And we had 5 eclipses last year, and we could not wait for 2019 to be over with. We can't wait for this year to be done. And it's like, you look, you know, 2020, like there's 6 eclipses. 2020 is going to be, you know, a game changer. But only the astrologer would be like, this is coming. Every full moon brings completion. Every full moon brings completion. So literally, you know, every month there's full moon. Sometimes there may be a blue moon, and you have 2. But when you have the full moon, which we just had the Gemini full moon with the lunar eclipse back on the 30th, completion. Not only that, the eclipses ended in Cancer and Capricorn. They ended back in July with the last one in Capricorn. But those polar opposites, Cancer and Capricorn, is winter and summer. You know, and they 4th house and the 10th house. So family and career. So a lot of people have been witnessing major transformations or changes in their family and career. especially this year, but for the past 2 years, that's been the theme. Now the eclipses are moving into Gemini and Sagittarius, which are also polar opposites. And Gemini, short distance travel, communication, how we learn, speak, interact with others. Sagittarius, long distance travel, and the teacher, teaching, sharing information. So now you have people learning new things. You have people, do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? Is their communication clear? And, and learning new things. So literally, we had the, back in January, we had the Cancer full moon lunar eclipse, and it was, so here we go, here's the family, here's, mom, dad, brother, sister, siblings, intimate partner, that's coming up. Capricorn, career, job, career, profession, hobby turning into career. We noticed that this being geared up and for past 2 years, and now here it is full go. This past eclipse, in Gemini, it's the first one we've had in Gemini in almost 18 years. So it's a big deal because we had the one in Sagittarius back in June. So, new ideas, new information, and Sagittarius is freedom, so now, our freedoms being, triggered, our communication being triggered, our relationships being triggered, our career being triggered. These are all things that, if you're ready for it, if you're asking for it, that's what's now, taking place. And, for me, it's I don't really advertise, it just, you find me by word of mouth, because it's just, look, those are meant to find me will find me. That's the way I looked at it. So even when there's like, look, people are going to seek you out, okay. And it's true. I mean, my goodness. And apparently this coming year is like, this is my year. And as much as I tried to resist it or fight it, there's no resisting or fighting. It's pretty much surrender. My North Node is in Sagittarius. So the North is, and here it is, the Gemini and Sagittarius, they're reversed. The North Node's in Gemini and South Node's in the Sagittarius, but for me, it's flipped. So I am literally being triggered on every level, to share the messages. And the more that, hesitant or they won't let me rest. They keep, nudging me. It's your time, and it's like, I'm not looking for the spotlight. And it's like, you are the spotlight, so.
No rest for you, honey one. No rest for you. You're a part of the great revealer. You're the great revealer. We had Mother Mary on my online group the other day. And she was saying that at the beginning of the millennium, Mother Mary was channeled through Danielle Gibbons, beautiful, beautiful teacher. She was saying that at the beginning of the millennium, transparency was the energy that was really amplified, and it's been amplified ever since. This transparency, the transparency of everything, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, but the transparency of spirit is here, like the transparency of multidimensionals, but the transparency of all the distortion and that we've gone through, and the transparency of the inequality that we live in this world, inequality with so many things. And it's so interesting how the shows and the Inner Sanctums, how the messages from all the teachers I put on have this synchronistic thread that run through it. Last month we had beautiful Zoe Pennon on, who was talking about oneness. She talks to these beings she gave them a name, Chon Oneness, talks about the elements. And she's saying, why squash the ant or the bug? We're one with that too. And that was her message about the equality that we have with the bugs. Stop killing the snails and the rats and the cockroaches. And then we're talking to Mother Mary, and we're talking about transparency and inequality and equality. And and you're the great revealer. You're a part of that, turning the invisible into the visible, the invisible world into the visible. But I want to ask you a question, because we've been yakking for ages and I keep having questions that come and go. And the question that came and went a few hundred times during our conversation is, what is your connection with the extraterrestrials? Do you have any knowledge of I know. Okay. So they just said to me, he goes everywhere just like you. There isn't one planet. It's like, it's just,
Pleiadians, Arcturians, Orions.
The whole mob.
Interact with all of them. And it's something because a person that I met here in Sedona, and she ended up taking me to Roswell, and I'd never been to Roswell before. And she's like, I'm being guided to take you to Roswell with me. So we went to Santa Fe, and then we went to Roswell, and then we went to Carlsbad Cavern, you know, and I took some photos there and saw they had some experiences, but literally she ended up connecting me with, you know, Kiwani, the Sasquatch, you know, which I didn't meet them till like 5 years later, you know, 3 years later, pardon me. It was 2017 when I met them, but it was interesting how they were laying the groundwork for the people for me, you know, to be introduced to. And, you know, coming here, and then you know, like Mark's, you know, business partner showing up as a spirit guide to me. And then turns out that Harold and Mark knew Cecilia, and Cecilia ended up knowing, you know, Kiwani and Kelly, and just how it all connected, you know, literally from Kentucky to Florida to Arizona to California to Washington State, you know, and all these various spots, you know, and literally reconnecting with soul family. You know, it's like, this is literally what's happening, because we've all known each other before. And what do you know, that the same individuals that resonate, you know, that we have share the same interests, the same likes, same curiosities, been there and done that before. You know, we've been in the, you know, the mystery schools, you know, with each other before. We've been, you know, each other's, you know, students and teachers, and mentors and friends, you know, literally in all these past lives. And now here we are reconnecting once again, you know, and literally shining the beacon of light for our fellow brothers and sisters, you know, because it's like the ones that wake up first are meant to go and share it and teach it. You know, you walk through it first. So our experiences through our trials and tribulations allows for us to share our experiences in the form of advice to others. You know, been there and done that. And we got the souvenir picture, t-shirt, the mug, we're good. And so, of course, when we attempt to share it to others, some of them may not be open to receive it, because now we're speaking truth, and truth, you know, will set you free. But boy, why is it we're so accepting of people who want to give their opinion, you know, of something that they don't have any experience of. They've never done that, but they got an opinion of it. And it's like my granddaddy, you know, I called him granddaddy, you know, he's like, you know, opinions are like buttholes, you know, and everybody's got one, you know, and there's, you know, and not everybody is, you know, hygienic. So I was like, okay, I got you. So be patient with the ones to share their advice, you know, and take the ones that give their opinion with a grain of salt, you know, because taking somebody for their opinion is like trying to fill up the Grand Canyon with a thimble.
Okay,
you know,
let's just reiterate that. Be patient with the ones that share their advice, like their experience and their advice from their experience. And what did you say? And be wary of the people that have opinions
that have not done it. You know, you should do this or do that. You shouldn't do this or do that. You need to do this.
That's actually been the policy I had for my show. I never really wanted so much to put researchers on the show. I wanted to put experiences on the show. But I have found that many of the researchers I've had on the show over the years have been the most incredible experiences as well, you know, and their experience has sort of made them delve into becoming more of a researcher, like some ET researchers that are, you know, blown me away. So, but I always feel like the experience that you have gives you that wisdom rather than the information. Yeah. Right. I feel like we need to wrap it up. We've been yakking for ages. There's just so again, I'm just going to reiterate that for people who want to see Darrell's photos, they are on his Facebook page at the moment. Not everyone, Darrell, is on Facebook. Amazing. Right. Most people are. Okay, I've come across one at a boxing ring. What looks like a boxing ring. What's that one? Yeah,
there was a wrestling match, you know.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of my family, and there were orbs around them at the wrestling match, you know. So literally, our loved ones are with us wherever we go. And that's my nephew, and his father had been killed, you know, so that orb appearing by him, I felt was his dad, you know.
That beautiful little boy or nephew, he is so gorgeous. Look at him.
And that's, you know, so that just, you know, Goosebumps again. Our loved ones are always around us.
Absolutely.
And it's like the movie Ghost, with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, and how he was trying to like teach me how to move the coin, so I can get her attention. How can I do that? And she had to go through all that grief. She couldn't feel him, she couldn't see him. It was when her heart finally healed that she was finally able to see him, and then we were treated to the clay pottery moment and
Okay, I'm going to ask you about one more photograph because it's just incredible. It is, I don't even know what it is. It is a multicolored light that has a sort of a top, an orb behind it, and then it looks like a rocket that's got a pink. Oh my God, what is that?
So I call that the Archangels. It's appeared a handful of times for me in various forms, but usually when it's got all the colors of the rainbow. So I'm like, okay, so for me, I'm like, that's the Archangels. The showing up. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Jophiel, Ariel, Haniel, Zachiel, Azrael. Like whoever was wanting to come through. And just being able to see, and like I said, I'm colorblind, so to me the colors, like what I'm thinking is blue might be purple or whatnot. So I just go with what I feel, and for most people, like it's lens flare, and
I know people call it lens flare. I know. I've been watching movies lately, and there's been all this lens flare, and I'm thinking the director has no idea that what's being said in the movie is actually relating to the lights that they just think is lens flare. Like we're so unaware of it. But where did you take that photograph? That one of the what you call the Archangels?
Here in Sedona. It was here in Sedona.
But where were you? Were you? It's next to the photograph. Oh dang! I just lost it.
I want to say that I took that photo, and it was, let's see here.
It's next to the one with the squiggle that we talked about before, the multicolored squiggle, the UFO.
Okay. I know that was, I want to say near
there is a few of them. Yes,
Oak Creek. Was it near the village of Oak Creek?
It's incredible. It's just incredible.
I want to say that was near the village of Oak Creek.
Okay.
And it's, my goodness, Sedona, Florida, Kentucky, wherever I've been, it's been right there, and by myself or with others. And that just showed me that we're never alone. They're always around us.
Yeah.
If you're open to communicate with it, you're open to experience it, you're open to feel it. You will feel something, you will experience something, no doubt. Some people, they have vivid dreams or premonitions. Other people feel things, other people hear things. Sometimes you may hear a song playing in your head. When I was here in Sedona for that those first 3 weeks back in 2011, I kept hearing Bob Marley, and it's like, and the song was "Don't Worry About Every Little Thing's Gonna Be All Right."
Yeah, I've had that come to me too.
And it's like, yeah, and I,
every little thing.
And that was, preparing that, like, you're in good hands, like Allstate. It's like, oh wow, because literally, the spirit world is always around us, and we're always being watched over and assisted, whether we're aware of it or not. And the moment that you become aware of it, and it's like, I just ask, I give thanks, and, to the help and assistance. And, and I'm thankful for the trials and tribulations, because that's what assists with the spiritual growth and the evolution, of our souls, and people are like, it's when we're going through something, the lesson will keep repeating itself till we get it. And I always like to say that the people may change, but the lesson remains the same, and so the person may leave, but the new person is going to remind you a lot of the old person. They're going to be just as intense, if not more intense, all in order to get your attention so that the lesson can continue. So when people say you don't need to be around this person, or you need to stop hanging out with that person, it's about you being able to learn the lesson, and that person is there to, whether that person is there to trigger you to speak your truth, stand your ground, have boundaries, whatever it is that person is there for, because there's a point, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and family members we can't get rid of, they're going to be with us all the way through. So we know we got some karma working out with them. the people at work, that we interact with, our intimate partners, that we're with. These are all individuals your soul has known them before, and here we are being reunited. And I like to call Sedona, it's like the pub on Star Wars on Tatooine. You've got a little bit of everybody, from all over the place showing up here. And
Sorry, we froze for a sec. I think we're getting the nod to sort of wrap this up. Oh, it's 12:12. Oh, it's here in Sydney. It's 12:12. It totally froze at 12:12. Synchronicity. You are a magical dude. I don't think I've ever had such a magical dude on the show before, and I've been showcasing New World teachers for like 25 years.
It's an absolute honor. The moment that Miss Sue, I said that this is going to be quite remarkable.
You are amazing. What would be your last message to people listening to this? I think that curiosity probably brings people to these sorts of things, like the orbs. There's so many people talking about orbs and taking photographs of orbs, and there's a whole lot of I don't knows around it. What do you want to say to people?
There are credible people out there that they fully are comfortable talking about this, and if you're comfortable enough to explore that, you're going to learn quite a bit. And there's a book called Ascension Through Orbs by Diane Cooper.
Okay.
And I looked at the book. I own the book, and literally a lot of the orbs, people sent in photos for her to put in the book. And I'm like, these all show up in my photos. So the same orbs are showing up in my photos that are showing up in their photos. Something there.
Darrell, you'll have to get yourself a book out there.
That's what the Billboard Press, they've been calling me to ask, is the manuscript ready? I'm like, it's a photo book. So, there's no manuscript. They're like, we need your manuscript. So I was like, but it's a photo book. So I imagine I'm supposed to, share the story of what shows up in the photo and select, the photos.
Share your story, just like you've done today. Share your story, and then share what you feel and the messages. Because you said that one of your strongest things is you're getting the messages from spirit, like what they want people to know. They're showing up. They're saying, "We're here. Look," but they come with a message. Like one of them is, "You're never alone. We're always with you." That's a big message. Yeah. But they've got so much more to share with us. So much more.
And it's all, always about discernment. If it's for the highest good, clearly you share it, and if it's not for the highest good, you clearly don't share it. The messages are meant to be uplifting and healing. And it's true that we all go through their trials and tribulations. People say, well, I don't want to hear about the bad stuff, but it's the bad stuff that you're going through that is assisting you with your transformation.
I know. So at the end of each year, instead of saying, "I'm so glad this year's over, it's been so terrible," what about we say, "Bring on more challenges next year, I'm excited."
And really, because we're going to be entering into the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
So literally we're going into the age of Aquarius. That's technology. That's the 11th house. So that's groups and people. So that's interacting with others. That's what's going to be happening. That's technology. So that's, the Skype, Zoom, internet, social media, all that's happening, because now we are able to reach larger masses, and share the message, because it's like, here we are messengers and wondering, how do I get out the message? And there's, through social media or whatnot. And it's like, but I'm, nervous being on camera or whatnot. And it's like, well, you're meant to to address that.
Yeah.
So literally here it is. Those of us that are being called to step forward, and now we're having, all the old stuff from the past lives is now coming up. Well, last time I shared messages, I was, they stoned me or they drowned me or whatnot.
Exactly.
And it's like,
it's
okay this lifetime, because that's not going to happen this lifetime.
Exactly.
And the people that that did that to you then, guess what, they're around you back in this lifetime to make amends, to heal that. So this is the opportunity for major healing, and for those who are open to it, it's the opportunity. And super excited about it. At some point I'll start recording and making my YouTube videos, because I've just
Look, I'm totally having you back on the show. I just think you're such a magical. You are magic.
I would love to.
Even your T-shirt, it's gone from orange to pink. It's still shimmering pink at the moment. I have never experienced anything like that. And I'm sure when I rewatch the recording, I feel like we've been online for hours, that I'm going to see a lot more magical things happening that I didn't notice because I've been perusing through your Facebook photographs. Darling one, it's been such a blessing and a joy and an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I got goosebumps all over me. It's been an absolute joy. I look forward to being back, and thank you so much for what you do. You know, your beacon in the lighthouse, and you're providing the light for those out there in the rough seas of life. And a lot of times people want to leave the safety of the lighthouse, you know, to go and be out there on that ship with their loved one. But that just means you're getting tossed and turned too, you know, by the rough waves of life, you know. So being able to be that beacon of light to guide them into the safety of the harbor, you know, so that way they actually have a chance to be able to get it, or being the light at the end of the tunnel. Too many times before we run into the tunnel to pull them out, and then we're in the dark and we're stubbing our toes and hitting our shins, and that stuff is painful. But if we allow ourselves to just shine our light, it will guide them out, and they'll find their way out of the darkness, you know, because we all got to find you got to get lost to find yourself, and you go through the dark to come out into the light, you know, and knowing that it's all right wherever you're at. It's all right if you're open to it. It's all right. If you're not open to it, that's all right too. You know, and just know that you take every day as a blessing, you know, one step at a time. Even if it's a small step, it's still a step. If you allow yourself to face your fears, you know, as best you can, be open to receive support, be open to ask for help, and allow yourself to receive the help. And know that by you being able to receive your blessings, you're able to show others that they can receive their blessings too. Because, you know, your blessings are your blessings. And if you go trying to give your blessings to others, they're unable to receive it because it's your blessing. So, but you can teach them how to receive their blessing. And that's just, you know, that's what we're called here to do.
I'm just going to repeat what you said, because that was just such a pearl. Be able to be open to face your fears, and be open and able to receive help, and count your blessings. That is just perfect. I think that so many people are running from what they fear, and just like face it, face your fear, go for it. In my group, I give people, you know, do something that scares you. And what scares people the most is like doing YouTube videos.
I told myself I'd start going live, you know, because, you know, I was like, you know, it's live, so you're channeling the real time. And then, of course, the technological challenges of getting it all set up, cameras and whatnot. I'm working on it. And, you know, my goal is to have the 2021, you know, forecast up before January, so people at least have a heads up for, you know, 2021, you know, because I do astrology too. So it just, you know, I like to combine and blend everything, and we'll see what happens. So it's for me to follow through. And thank you so much, you know, for having me. I'm so blessed, you know. Thank you, because it's, you know, Spirit said it's time to put it out there and to share your message, and, you know, the people will seek you out, and I'm definitely being sought out. So I imagine 2021 is going to be a profoundly remarkable year, and I'm open to it. So I thank you so much. You know, thank you.
Bring it on, honey one. Thank you so much. Wow, what an unbelievably magical being, Derrell Stokes. Just, I hope, did you see his t-shirt change? For those listening, obviously you didn't. Hopefully it was as good good an audio podcast as it was a visual podcast, but it's going to take a while for me to edit it and pop up all those photographs, but I'm going to do that. It's going to take a while to do that. Anyway, but you can see all these photographs on his YouTube page, not YouTube, what is it, Facebook. And he was just telling me that he's going to start doing some YouTubes. Well, we discussed that, but I might need to give him some tips on technical stuff, because he's not very tech savvy, so that he can share a screen and he can get up on his YouTube channel and put up the photograph and then talk about what, you know, like talk about them, because it's nice seeing them and looking at them and going, wow. But it's really fascinating hearing how he felt, what he was experiencing, you know, at the time, especially the one about the poodle and his girlfriend and the poodle. When he was telling me about that, I couldn't see it. I was scrolling through his photos, and then I found it, and I'm like, oh my God, it is totally there. There's no denying it. Sometimes when there's smoke, she's smudging. She's doing some smudging. And right on top of her head is this poodle. And sometimes when people say, see, can you see things? Can you see things? I look at stuff and I go, no, I can't see anything. But this is so obvious. Anyway, I'll put it up it's so obvious there's a poodle there. It's just amazing how that stuff happens. It's just, so it's beautiful to see the photograph and then hear Darrell's experience, especially the one about his little nephew and the orb, you know, his father. Oh, it's just so beautiful to hear about the photographs. Yeah. So anyway, so he's going to get that together next year. You know, he'd start yakking about them on his YouTube channel, and I'll help him with the tech. Because I said to him, can you share your screen? And he goes, no, don't know how to do that. But anyway, we'll have to give him a few lessons. Oh, magical, magic. I think we were talking for hours, so I'm not going to talk too much more. I don't know what I've got to say. I've always got a million things to say, but I'm going to go and have a cup of tea after that and get into the editing. I hope you're excited about next year. It's true that what Darrell and I were saying, we always say at the end of the year, I had a girlfriend saying she's had a really tough year. I'll be pleased when this year's over, as if the end of the year is going to stop all your trauma. It's not. It's totally not. If you're pushing against what you've been through this year, if it's been a really tough year for you and you're like, I'm so pleased that this year's over because next year you've got this hope for the new year. So many people said that at the end of 2019, like you said. I'm so pleased this year's over. It's been a horrible year. And then 2020, it said, oh my God, did we know what was in store for us? But if you're pushing against what you've experienced, instead of blessing it, you're in for more pain. I'm sorry. It's like the lesson is the blessing. Like you experience the contrast, it gives birth to desire. Do you manifest that desire? So the desire can be, I want more openness. I want more peace in my life. I want more transparency. I want more love in my life. And so these lessons come to us in the form of arguments and fights and problems and losing this and what have you, so that we can develop that openness and that peace and find ways to find peace even inside trauma. You know, happiness is an inside job. Peace is an inside job. Love is an inside job. What is happening outside of us in this world is not the reason we feel. The reason we feel is because we believe our thoughts. We have a belief system that we say is true. This terrible thing is happening to me. So if you can see a terrible thing as a blessing, it ceases to feel bad and starts to feel good. So we have that power to create our reality by what we believe. I was listening to Neil Donald Walsh. Someone had uploaded one of his books as an audio book on YouTube this morning before Darrell came on. And he was talking about the only way to change this world is to change the beliefs. It's not what you're doing. It's what you're believing that inspires you to do. And I was thinking about that in the form of, he was talking about it in a very global way, saying, if you convince people to kill another because God wants you to, because you give them a belief that it's, you know, to be a terrorist because you're going to go to heaven if you kill people that don't believe in what you believe in. It is your beliefs that inspire your actions. And so the way to change this world is to change the beliefs. And, you know, one of the biggest beliefs is we are separate and not equal. And so one of the biggest beliefs in this world that has been changed is this oneness principle, this equality principle. We are one and we are equal. The king and the pauper, the slug and the snail, you know, we are equal with all of it. We are equal with the animals, with earth. We don't have dominion over the earth. We are equal and one with all of it. And that belief will completely transform this world. And just like Darrell and I were talking about, those orbs and that amazing phenomena that he's capturing with his lens is bringing that message with all of it. People that die, you've hated them during your life and then they die. There is no fight in heaven and you're equal and one with them. And they come, like your dead relatives, they come to bring a message of love and peace and equality. The ETs come to bring a message of love and peace and equality. The animal spirits come to bring a message of love and peace and equality. It is the message. We are one, we are equal, and we all come from love. If only we could live it more in our lives. So the lessons in life are here to remind us of that. And if we are hating on those lessons and saying, I don't ever want that happen again, it's going to be happening some more. So let's be excited about the coming year. Whatever year it may be, you might be listening to this in a couple of years. 2021 is the one that's coming up at the moment. And let's be excited for the challenges that we're going to be faced with, because we're going to be faced on a global scale, maybe not personally. I mean, the world, on this year has been through mass global challenge. My daughter's been through huge global challenge, personal challenges. But through all of it, I don't feel like I've been through any challenges this year. For me, this year has been one of the most amazing years of my life, really. I haven't done a lot, like I haven't gone out and done a lot like I normally do because of COVID and things stopped happening. But it's been an amazing year for me. And yet I've seen some of the world experience challenges and in my family experience challenges. And those challenges are our lessons. They're here to teach us that we have power over how we think and feel and how we experience our lives, and how we can heal our physical body, and how we can manifest a life of ease and grace and joy and abundance, and how we can help others and help transform their belief systems as well, from fear to love. So lots more to come. Love you all, and remember to buy the book Awakened by Death. It's a great read. And Inner Sanctum, we've just had Danielle in the Inner Sanctum with Mother Mary. I'm going to upload pretty much the whole thing, not all of it, because we were online for about 3 hours. So about almost 2 hours of it, speaking with Danielle and her journey, her awakening through going through food addiction and all that came with the idea of addiction and stressful thoughts. That's amazing. And then she channels Mother for almost an hour, and we talk a lot about next year and the challenges we face, and it's just amazing. So I'm going to upload it as a gift to you, because obviously I charge for my online sessions and usually only upload the highlights just to honor my guests that come in. I rarely upload what I say in the Inner Sanctum. I could do more of that. Spirit says get more out there with your teachings, just you. And I teach every week online, but I don't upload it to my YouTube. I could do that more. Anyway, so more guests to come next year. I think Michael Tamura is going to come back next year. I've got to set the guests for next year, but I'm online every week talking about all this stuff. So if you want to join, please do. Love you all. Big love. Mwah. Thanks for tuning in and watching and listening. Bye for now.